I've got something real fun for you today, but besides being just fun, it's also going to be really useful in your internet marketing adventures. And what we're going to talk about today is automatically generating content. But we're not just going to talk about generating random crappy content that nobody actually wants to see. No, we're actually going to talk about automatic content generation that is actually useful, that actually has some entertainment value to the end viewer. This is going to be real useful for anyone who wants a leg up in the SEO game, or even just from a content marketing angle. Because you're ultimately going to do better at either one if you're producing quality content, and that's what we're going to do today. Okay, maybe calling it quality content is a bit of an exaggeration, but at least we're going to make some entertaining content. So what we're going to do is we're going to automatically generate some memes. And specifically, we're going to use one of my very favorite shows, Rick and Morty. We're going to take Rick and Morty characters, pictures of Rick and Morty characters, and we're going to overlay them randomly with quotes from great philosophers. So let me show you what a few of these look like. These are a few that I generated previously, and we have here, this is Snuffles the dog with his helmet that gives him super intelligence, and he's saying, "I can control my passions and emotions if I can understand their nature." Wow, Snuffles, that's really deep. Okay, this one is fun. Remember, these are just random quotes from great philosophers that happen to match up to the memes in funny ways. This is, "Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination." And look at him having so much fun playing with the baby Gazorpazorp. And if you don't follow the show, this later grows up and becomes a horrible creature. All right, then we've got, this is Mr. Poopy Butthole. That's his actual name from the series, in case you don't follow it. He's saying, "Whatever is reasonable is true, and whatever is true is reasonable." Thanks, Mr. Poopy Butthole. That's very insightful. And then finally, we have Mr. Meeseeks. And I'm not even going to explain this one. If you follow the series, then you will know that for this caption to be randomly attached to Mr. Meeseeks is just the most amazing thing that has ever happened. All right, so let me walk you through how I created this bot. The first thing is to go into Chrome and look for some pictures that will be very useful for our memes. So I'm just going to look for Rick and Morty characters. And I'm going to go to images. And we're just going to start looking for some pictures that are going to be what we want. Now we want all of them to be roughly the same size. This is a little bit too small, but let's look through the related images and see if we can find a bigger one. All right, here's a bigger one. So now we're going to go to View Image, and we're going to save this image as, all right, let's make ourselves a folder for these. We'll call it Rick and Morty characters. And then this isn't a very good name. Let's call it something more useful. Call it Snuffles. All right, let's find some more. All right, this one already has writing on it, so it's not useful to us because we're going to put more writing on it and it might be confusing. How about this one? Potentially pretty funny. Why don't we go ahead and grab it? All right, here's one of our grown-up Gazorpazorp, but it's a little small. Let's see if we can find a slightly, that's a pretty good one. We'll call it grown-up Gazorpazorp. Okay, here's my Mr. Meeseeks that I used in the earlier one. Here's a good one of Beth freaking out after an all-out war happened in her home. Let's see, do we need one of Doofus Rick? That's a little small. How about Hunger Games Rick? Yeah, why not? Let's grab it. And maybe we'll just do one more for right now. This guy seems to be a sentient testicle. And I think that'll do us pretty good for right now. So what I'm going to do is make another folder. We're going to put that under Documents. And let's call it Rick and Morty Memes. Awesome. Now let's jump back over to UBot and let's see if we can start putting these together. Alright, so we're going to jump over to the bot bank, and there are some brand new imaging commands. At least they're new as of the time of this recording. Alright, now here's the thing. Whenever you use any of our creator commands in the bot bank, whether video, audio, or image, you need to start by verifying the libraries. Now, the reason for this is because we didn't want to clutter up the UBot Studio data folder by including every library for every command that we have. Between the three of these, it's something like... So rather than force it to download all that, we just included this way to check and make sure that those libraries are right where they need to be. Now, the way this will work is if you just run this, then for the first time, it's going to hang here for a second while it actually downloads the library. In the future, every time you run this command, it's going to check and see that those libraries are already there, so it's not going to have to download them more than this first time. But it's kind of nice because if you're on a new computer and you have to do all this over again, you can just make sure that that command's at the top of your script and it'll go ahead and take care of it for you. Alright, so that's all finished up. The next thing we're going to do is we need to get a list of those files. So we're going to come over to our toolbox by clicking the wrench right there, and we're going to go to data commands. And the one we want is add list to list. Alright, so we're going to name this one files, and we're going to add to it using file functions. We're going to say get files, and the folder that we want is this one right here with our Rick and Morty characters. And do we want to include the path? Yes, we do. And let's make sure this verify image libraries is at the very top here. Alright, so now we have those images in our bot. Now we actually need to get some quotes to put on them. Oh, that thing is disgusting. Alright, so let's look up quotes from great philosophers. Now, you could imagine doing this with any number of different sources. For instance, maybe you could do it in reverse. Maybe you could have pictures of great philosophers and then have quotes from Rick and Morty. Pictures of politicians and quotes from 3-year-old children. The possibilities are endless and also hilarious. So let's go to this first link here. And this is going to be pretty good, I think. Yeah, this is perfect. Alright, so I'm going to just grab all of these quotes, and we're going to use Notepad++ to edit this text a little bit. The reason we're using Notepad++ is because you actually have the ability to do regular expressions in your search and replace. That's something that does not happen with Windows Notepad. So this is worth the download. It's free. Feel free to also use Sublime Text if you prefer, or TextPad is another one. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of these attributions because it'll be a lot funnier if it looks like it's actually our character from Rick and Morty saying these things. That's not to lie to people. We can tell them exactly what's going on, but it'll be funnier if we don't have the quotes this way. So what we're going to do then is select this, and we're going to go to Search, Replace. And we're going to click regular expressions so that we can make it so that it gets all of these at once. Alright, now this dash is not a hyphen, it's actually a different character, so we're going to leave that verbatim. And then we're going to replace the text with a period and a star. And in regular expressions, that just means match literally any character, and the star means do it as many times as you can until you reach the end of the line. So you can see up here, it matched exactly what we want, and now we can replace it with nothing. So I'm just going to say replace all, and there we go. Now our text is nice and clean. All right, and I'm hitting Control A and Control C so that we can copy that again. And we're going to jump back over to UBot Studio, and we're going to create another list. So again, we're going to say add list to list. And this one we're going to call quotes. And we're going to use the text function, the data function rather, list from text. The text, we're going to paste in the thing we copied. For the delimiter, we're going to use a new line so that every line is going to be an item in this list. And here, let me show you a quick hack. Instead of having to use the function new line, you can also hit Shift Enter, and then it puts a literal line break there, and that actually works just as well. And wow, that's big. Let's say OK here. And now we're going to jump over back to the bot bank so that we can get our caption image command. And here's where the magic happens. For the background image, we're going to use a random list item, and it's going to randomly pull from files. This is our list of image files. Caption top, we're going to leave that blank. Caption bottom, this is where we're going to put our quotes. So we're going to say random list item again, and we're going to say quotes. All right, output image file. So we're going to go to our Rick and Morty memes folder here, and we're going to call it caption dot, we'll use PNG. All right, but I want this to be more than just one. So let's go to our math functions, and we'll pull a random number at the end of it between 0 and 9,900. And looks like I did it in slightly the wrong place. Let's fix that. Perfect. All right, size 6 font is going to be a little small. So actually, we need to make this kind of big in order for it to show up correctly. Experiment a little bit. It depends on the size of the pictures that you're working with. Earlier, I found that 72 was a good size. So why don't we try that and see if it still works. All right, and if I did everything correctly, when I run this, it should create a meme for us. Let's go back and check our meme folder. Hey, there we go. And here's Mr. Meeseeks telling us that everything that exists is born for no reason, carries on living through weakness, and dies by accident. Thanks, Mr. Meeseeks. I feel much better about life now. Thank you. Let's make a few more of these and make sure that it works the way we want. And here we have grown-up Gazorpazorp very thoughtfully telling us, if you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt, as far as possible, all things. Yeah, that sounds about right. What else did we come up with here? The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. That's a very ominous message there, Beth, as you frantically pour wine into your wine glass. Here we go. Is man merely a mistake of God's, or God merely a mistake of man's? So I don't know the answer to that question, but what I can tell you with some certainty is that whatever this creature is a mistake of God. All right, so now those look pretty good. I could make them look a little bit more uniform if I did a couple of things. One of those is making sure that all of the images are roughly the same size. Because the thing is, if one of these is a lot smaller than the other images, then, I mean, you can see the difference. This is a much smaller image, and it's taking up most of the image, versus this one is a much larger image, and it fits nicely at the bottom. So one thing to make these a little bit more uniform is to make sure that you have all of them the same size. The other thing is to make sure that all of your quotes are relatively similar in length, or at the very least make sure you don't have one that just rambles on, because that's going to look weird too. All right, but let's just pretend like we're pretty happy with our results so far, and we're ready to do this a whole bunch of times. Let's say we want to do it 100 times. We want 100 of these abominations. All right, now if you have Professional Edition, we can just jump over to Code View right here. And wow. Anyway, we just need to grab this closed bracket and then drop it off at the very bottom. And then jump back over to Node View, and now we put everything inside the loop. Of course, if you only have the standard edition, then, well, upgrade to Pro. But you can do the same thing just by taking these one by one and dragging them into the loop. Alright, I've gone a long time without saving this bot. I should probably save it. And why don't I just make myself a nice directory here, call it Rick and Morty bot. Copy that for later. Paste it, we'll just call it Rick and Morty bot. And now we don't have to worry about catastrophe. Let's give this a run and see what kind of mischief we can cause. Alright, it seems to be, oh wow, there's so many of them. While this is filling up, one thing you might be wondering is this legal? I just pulled these random images off the internet. My answer to you on that question is, I am not a lawyer, so please don't take my advice. But what I believe is that you are covered under fair use. So again, not a lawyer, don't take my advice, but you should not get in any trouble for using these images. At least in the specific way that we're using them. Okay, let's see if we have anything entertaining. There's only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. That's right, Mr. Meeseeks. The only thing I know is that I know nothing. That was me doing the Gazorpazorp voice. Here's Snuffles saying, the mind is furnished with ideas by experience alone. You are absolutely right, hyper-intelligent dog. And then we follow it up with him saying, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. Well, which is it? Geez, Snuffles. Alright, and here I just want to show you this picture that I downloaded ended up being a little bit too small. And the result is the text is just completely dominating the space here. So again, we need to make sure that the pictures are all roughly the same size. So you get the idea. I think that our bot did a pretty good job, and we now have a lot of memes to work with. So where would we go next with this? I think the best way to use this would be to plug these memes directly into a Twitter bot, or a Tumblr bot, or a Facebook bot, or all three of those. And the reason this is really great is because Rick and Morty has some really intense fans. People love Rick and Morty. When people see this and get a chance to appreciate the premise that this is a bot that's randomly putting these on these memes, the fact that every now and then you get a real gem, people are going to be pretty amused by this, and you're going to get followers, you're going to get shares and reblogs and retweets or whatever. And that's really cool when you think about it, because that means that once you set this up, you can just let it run forever, and it will continue to generate traffic for you without you having to do anything at all to intervene. So this was just a quick demonstration about how to do some cool stuff with the new features in the creator release of UBot Studio. But I want you to understand that the possibilities with UBot Studio are unlimited, and it will really take you to the next level with your internet marketing. This is what smart internet marketers are doing. They figure out a method, they figure out something that works, and then they automate that method with UBot Studio. UBot Studio at its very core is a system for creating web bots. And where it used to be, you would have to get into the source code of a website to find all of the variables anytime you wanted to create a bot to automate anything for you. UBot Studio lets you use the web page itself in a much more direct way. You can actually build web bots by interacting directly with the elements on the page. So as you can see, I just dragged those over, and now I can put some information into them. I'll make up a password here. My name is Seth Turin. And because we use this visual language, that means that you don't even have to learn how to program. Creating web bots in UBot Studio is a lot more like stacking blocks on top of each other than it is like programming. Now there is a bit of a learning curve. You are going to have to learn what these commands do and how to put them in the right order. But it's so much easier than any other way that you can think of to make a web bot. As you can see, your toolbox has all kinds of really powerful commands that let you do anything you can think of. We also have a number of functions that let you interact with data in important ways and that let you pull information from the website. And we also have things like variables and lists, so you can actually create some very powerful scripts. Now, in addition to that, you're going to get 3 months free of the bot bank. And the bot bank is a place where we give you even more commands, more power, more advanced stuff that you can use to build your bots. And that's where these video, image, and audio commands live. Another one of the really cool things about UBot is the ability to compile. And when you compile, you can actually turn your bot into a standalone executable that you can then give to somebody else, you can share it, or if you get the developer edition, you can make it really fancy. You can have a really nice looking user interface, you can create an installer, and this way you can actually sell your bots. And one of the really interesting things that I didn't expect when I started UBot Studio is this secondary economy that's been created because of UBot Studio. And what has happened is we get a lot of people who have really good ideas, really good methods for internet marketing, but maybe they're not programmers. Using UBot Studio, they actually develop software, and some of them have created very profitable businesses for themselves by selling their software. And you can do that all from inside the UBot Studio system. There's also some other cool stuff. You can actually record. So instead of dragging these over, which is already really easy, I can record and just do whatever here. And it's creating these commands based on what I'm doing in the web browser. All right, and if you get the professional edition, you're also going to have access to our scheduling system. And this is really cool. You can actually set up a schedule for your bot to run, for specific functions in your bot to run, so that you can just hit run on schedule and then walk away, and it's going to run everything that you want when you want it without you ever having to touch it. And I mean, that's really the point here, right? Is to be able to actually create automation so that we can get up and walk away from our computers and go do something else. So I don't have time to go over every single feature here, but there's a lot of really powerful stuff here. I haven't even gone into the CAPTCHA solving services that are built in. But listen, I'm offering a really good deal here. It's not going to be up for very long, so seize this opportunity while you can. Join the legions of next level marketers that are getting more done, that are doing it in less time so that they can make more money and actually walk away from the computer while they're doing it and go out and live their life. Click the button below, make the purchase. It's going to be one of the most important things that you ever buy for your marketing toolbox. And speaking of getting up and getting away from the computer, you might notice that my screen is slightly pinkish. That's because I have Flux running. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. So click the button below, buy UBot Studio, so that I can go to bed, because I'm not going to bed until after you buy UBot Studio. That's right, I can wait. Still watching this video? Why are you still watching this video? Why don't you just go buy the thing already? Okay, that's fine. That's fine, I'll wait. Just kidding, obviously I'm not going to wait. That doesn't even make sense. How would I even know? I don't know who you are. But seriously, click the button, buy the thing, you're going to love it. I'm going to bed, and I will see you soon.